everyone, and welcome to day 2 of my vlogging for the sugar-free February challenge, where I'm trying to raise some money for Cancer Research UK. And wow, we've had some dreadful weather today, like really windy, really rainy, but I'm smiling anyway because Josh and Claire donated some money to the cause, so thank you so much. I love you both. Mwah. Obviously for different reasons, but in this case it's the same reason. You've helped a really good cause, and I greatly appreciate it. So if I look down at any point during this video, it's because I have taken notes and I want to make sure that I cover everything so that we have it all wrote down and I don't miss anything out. So daily update. I didn't get up to too much today outside of my normal work and workout. I jogged indoors today rather than outdoors because the weather was insane and I didn't want to get really wet or encounter any trouble. I actually had one incident where I went out in a high wind weather warning, and a sign literally dislodged from a store and just went whew, right past me, like it would have hit me if it had just been a few inches in the other direction. So I try to avoid stuff like that now as much as I possibly can. But outside of that, I did some yoga afterwards, and I'm actually doing yoga with Adriene's Yoga Revolution right now. I did it in January, which was when it was released, and now it's a Yoga Revolution because we're doing it all over again, and I highly recommend it because it's a really good yoga package. Great for all sorts of levels, though if you are a complete beginner, I do recommend that you start with her beginners yoga videos and see where you go from there. That's how I sort of eased into yoga. So I did actually, thankfully, manage to go for a bit of a walk outside a little bit later in the day. It was still really windy, but I managed to walk at Preston, and the beach was lovely and there were loads of wonderful dogs out and it was a really beautiful view. I got some footage of that, so hopefully I will have boobity booped that up and you can see that. But in terms of the sugar freeness, it's harder than I expected. I've said that before, I say it again. I was really craving sugar today. My body wanted to replace it with carbs, so I've had a lot of porridge and muesli and things of that nature, bread, and I think it's just trying to compensate. And again, I'm not someone who even considered myself to have too much sugar in my diet. I don't drink fruit juices, I don't drink fizzy drinks, I don't eat milk chocolate or really drink alcohol. It's all tea and water for me, and I don't have any really decadent cakes or anything like that on a regular basis outside of brownies. But yeah, even then it's been really hard, and I've noticed the energy crash. So it's amazing just how much we rely on sugar in our diets, even when we don't think that we have too much free sugar in there. So that was just a little bit of an update. There's not too much more to say. It's day 2, early days, persevering, gonna get over this tiredness in time and hopefully feel a lot better come the end of it. So today I decided that I would do a little bit of a super real talk time. So one of the things I want to do as part of this vlog series to keep it sort of interesting and dynamic and involved and engaged is make sure that I talk to you about topics that I care about, topics that are relevant to this challenge, and topics that you ask about as well, so that we can have somewhat of a discussion. And I think that would be really nice, and I'll be trying to research things, as I said, as I go along and trying to share them. So our first question that we got actually came from Lisa, and she asked me, can you please tell me what these hidden sugars are, hidden names for sugar, because in the other vlog I said that there was a lot hidden in things like sauces, things that you wouldn't expect. So before I do that, I just really wanted to emphasize that this particular challenge is about eliminating free sugars, not all sugars, because we do need sugar as part of our diet. It's specifically free sugars. And free sugars are those that are found in monosaccharides and disaccharides. I probably butchered those two names. So glucose, fructose, sucrose, table sugar, sugar found in honeys and syrups, and fruit juices and fruit juice concentrates. So this doesn't address or even look at the sugars that are naturally found in whole fruits and vegetables, or the sugars that are present in milk. None of those, according to the World Health Organization, have been linked to the same risks that free sugars have. So they don't need to be avoided in the same way or restricted in the same way. They don't come under the recommended guidelines that I'm following. Although obviously I don't have milk anyway, because milk is terrible. And yeah, that's just my general stance as a vegan and in life. So in terms of why fruit is a-okay, but fruit juice and fruit juice concentrates aren't, because this is a question that some people might have. Essentially, when you take a fruit and make it into a fruit juice or a smoothie or a fruit juice concentrate, you're eliminating all of the fiber that's involved, or a vast majority of the fiber in the fruit, and essentially freeing up the free sugars. So it makes the sugar less healthy, it makes it more likely to give you tooth decay, to raise obesity, and to cause a lot of the issues that are related with that. Of course, fruit juices and smoothies are okay in moderation. They do still count as one of your 5 a day, and they do still have vitamins and minerals, but the NHS recommends that you have no more than 150 milliliters of fruit juice or smoothie per day, and that's not much. That's not even a can of Coke, I don't think. So I'll try to find a comparison to put up, but it's quite surprising just how little we know about portion sizes and what we really should be having compared to what we currently do have. But that's the reason why fruit juices and fruit concentrate and smoothies aren't allowed. The free sugars, and fruit is a-okay, and I had a banana today and it's all good. So in terms of the main ingredients that you will be trying to avoid, Lisa, and anyone else who is trying to spot free sugars, you will be looking out for sucrose, glucose, fructose, maltose, fruit juices, molasses, hydrolysed starch, invert sugar, corn syrup, honey, and any other form of syrup that you might find. Obviously this isn't a comprehensive list of free sugars, but these are the most common ones that you will encounter. Now, how does one figure out exactly how much they need, how to avoid it, etc.? Notepad will let me know. So as I've said before, the average person should aim for no more than 5% of their energy to come from free sugars every day. And that is about 30 grams a day for anyone who is 11 or older. So nutritional labels are really how you go about trying to monitor this. You don't have to be super strict. You just have to have a rough idea, and to just keep an eye on this sort of stuff, because it can surprise you. It surprises me. So if you want a good idea of what's high in sugar and what's low in sugar, we do have those red, amber and green warnings on quite a lot of labels. But if something doesn't have that, a good rule of thumb is that per 100 grams, if anything has 22.5 grams of sugar or more per 100 grams, then that is high in sugar. Anything that has 5 grams is low in sugar, and anything else is in between. It's medium, essentially. Now, the main issue with this in terms of avoiding free sugars is that nutritional labels aren't actually obligated to divide out in these percentages, in these grams and measurements, the free sugars from the naturally occurring sugars in things such as fruits and vegetables. So a vegetable lasagna, for example, a pre-made one, might come up with a really high sugar content, and that could either be because of all of the vegetables involved in it, or it could be because they added a crap ton of extra sugar to make it taste nice. And it's really hard to just tell from the looking at the label. So how do you get around this? How do you really sort of start to get a bit savvy? Now obviously I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a professional with this, I am literally just going off of the NHS guidelines, the World Health Organization guidelines. I am telling you what I am finding out myself, and all of the links will be boopy-doo-boop in the description, so you can look it up yourself and come to your own conclusions if you feel like anything I say is flawed or in any way incomplete. But essentially you just have to apply a bit of common sense. So when it comes to ingredients on the nutritional labels, the higher up the ingredient, the more prevalent it is in the actual item itself. So if you see any of these free sugar buzzwords that I mentioned in the labels, and it's quite high up, and then you look at the percentage per 100 grams, and that is also quite high, then chances are it's got quite a lot of free sugar in it. If you're looking at something that doesn't naturally have any fruits or vegetables in it, sweets, etc., that aren't really high in fruits and vegetables, and you see that it has a high sugar content, then it's probably going to be because they've added extra sugar. However, if you pick up that can of sweet corn or those carrots or sweet potatoes and you see that it might be higher in sugar content than you expected, you've got a fruit or a vegetable in your hand. It's natural. It's not counted in the same category as these free sugars, so that's a good guideline to go off of. So that's essentially what I'm going to say for that question, and I hope that it answered everything for you, Lisa. Kat, I know that you also asked me what about artificial sweeteners and stuff? Where do they fall? Well, I haven't done too much research into this, but part of the approach for myself is that I'm trying to cut out the cravings for sugar as well as sugar itself. So anything that's replicating sugar isn't a good thing for me. And if you want me to look into these artificial sweeteners more, I will definitely do so. But for now, that's where I'm comfortably sitting. So in order to keep these vlogs dynamic, as I said, I'm going to keep on trying to do these little infographics, like these informational dumps as I find it. I've got a few topics lined up, but I also want your input, so if you have any questions, do ask them, or if you have any topics that I've come up with that you think are interesting, let me know. So some of the things that I was thinking of talking about, notity notebook, is a closer look at calories and portion sizes and what we should be having versus what we currently have. More information on free sugars and general health and why free sugars are considered to be so bad, why Cancer Research UK is like, avoid them for this challenge, it will be fun and healthy. Sugar and polycystic ovary syndrome, which is very important to me. Maybe personal stuff like my reasons for going vegan, my fitness routine, why I personally think that the egg and dairy industries are just dreadful, cooking tutorials so I could rig up my camera and you could watch me cook, and maybe some fun stuff like little quiz things where I look up the content of food in terms of sugar and you guess what's in it, or easy ways to reduce sugar. So let me know if any of that at all interests you, and as usual, please go down into the description for the daily challenge, let me know how that went, read my quote if you want to, let me know what you think, and donate please, it will mean the world to me and it will make this tiredness just a bit more bearable. So that's all for now. I love you all and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah.